Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast, where we will be recapping Power Book 2, Episode 6, and the title is Good versus Evil. And of course, I'm also here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How you doing, Rich?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I'm also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you, Dana?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, so obviously it's been a while because the show took a break. Power Book 2 took a break. But finally it's returned. And how many episodes is it? It's like five more now, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we got 5 more episodes of this season to recap. Before we get into the episode recap though, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Starz for, supporting the Powercast and everything and allowing us to watch the show and everything like that. And Dana actually received, some gifts from Starz, which I'm currently showing on the screen. As you can see, she got a nice branded box sent from Starz, and she got what is this, Dana? Is this like a candle or something?
Sorry, I was muted. The box. Okay, so you have the very nice branded power book, and you have also the very nice branded box. Now, when you go inside of it, it is a candle, and this one. It's a very beautiful candle. I cannot pronounce this word too. It's in French, and I apologize, but it's from the Fraser Briachute. Sorry, butchering that, but it's a custom candle scented. It's a custom candle scent that embodies the world of Power Book 2 Ghost, and the candle is supposed to evoke sentiments of luxury, masculinity, and duality of youth and maturity. So it's basically a candle that is the essence and the surroundings of everything that is Tariq. And that luxuriness and brand that makes Tariq, including like his father and everything that he brought to the table. And to be very honest, I don't know how to describe it, but it really smells like power and luxury. It smells like you're in a back of like a really nice limo, like a really bougie one, and it just smells like, and I hate to use this term, but it smells really manly, like man musk, and yeah, or like even at the club that he has, smells like the club, but like where everyone washes. And it's not sweaty club. This is like, I'm a person of power. I'm overlooking, I'm out the balcony overlooking all of my fame and fortune that I've built up. That's literally the only way to describe it. And as you can see, there's also a really nice matchbox, and it comes with a bunch of very nice matches. But also, I just really wanted to mention that this candle set, it is the brainchild of 3 kids. They're kids. It's brilliant. Their name is Colin, Ryan, and Austin Gill. And they make their products, they're homemade, and they pour like small batches, and they make everything custom designed with care. And these all kids, and 10% of the profits will go to the homeless shelters across the nation. And you can find them at fbcandle.com.
Whoa.
It's very nice. Yeah, very fancy. And these are by kids, which is like, you want to get Tariq in the business nice and young. Look at these kids in the business nice and young. A legit business.
That's dope, man. This sounds a lot more legit than Course Correct. So, but that's dope though. So yeah, shouts to them. Shouts to Starz too. And yeah, it's good to know that what we do here is appreciated by everyone. So, was you gonna say something, Rich?
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm gonna have to check out this set and see. Based off of Dana's description, I definitely am curious to check out the scent, and so hopefully, yeah, I definitely will pick this up in the future just to see how it is.
Yeah, Rich is gonna burn that candle and start feeling like Jamie St. Patrick, man.
I don't know about that. We'll see. To be determined.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So let's dive right into the episode recap. This is a pretty cool return episode. Of course, there are some things to be discussed, but we'll try and keep it brief in the interest of time. So I'm gonna just go through some of the things that happened, and if you guys have something to say about it, feel free to just interject. Otherwise, for certain things, I will just ask you guys for your opinion anyway. So let's get going. So the show, it starts off with Davis, McLean, and Sax meeting to discuss the plan, and this kind of basically reiterates what we saw in the previous episode, where they basically come up with the plan to to pin it all on Tariq and let Tasha go. So there's a scene at the start where Davis McLean is in his Wu-Tang gear, looking like a Wu-Tang soldier. So yeah, that was interesting. And then Tariq has a class where the question is asked, are you good or bad? And this leads to some dialogue between the students. It was kind of a fun scene, because you get references to like the Dark Knight and stuff, where they're trying to discuss, whether all people are good or if all people are bad, basically. And this was actually, I think, the only scene that has the teacher in this episode. So we didn't really see the teachers too much. Just the lady, I forgot her name already, but
Carrie,
there you go.
Yep.
So
very, the very scandalous teacher. One of the very scandalous teachers. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm sure we will see lots of them soon, but they weren't around in this one very much, so that's cool. So in the next scene, Sax actually brings back an old face. So he's trying to get 2-Bit to be a witness in Tasha's trial and everything. And then we also see McLean and Blanca speak to 2-Bit after. So basically both sides are trying to get 2-Bit to feed into their narrative, and basically bring attention to the fact that it was Tariq and not Tasha. And then Davis McLean offers to spring 2-Bit from prison if he cooperates with him. So what did you guys think of this, like seeing a familiar face from the old power for the first time? Like what did you guys think? Go ahead, Rich.
Well, I'm glad that they brought 2-Bit back, because this is a character that I know a lot of people liked. He was one of the only surviving characters that worked with Tommy and his crew. So I figured he would come back into play. I didn't know how far they were going to take his involvement, and I'm very curious to see what happens after this episode with that character, because we already know that Tommy is definitely going to make a return at some point. Tommy also has his spinoff show, so it's great that now at least there's a possibility that he can work with this character again. So I was glad to see him come back. Was surprised to see that they are now trying to get him involved with this whole Tariq situation. So yeah, but at least he did his part as far as saying that there's shedding light that there's some more about Tariq that people might not know. So now that is in there, that definitely is going to be very concerning to Tasha and Tariq.
Yeah, I think so too. I think because I noticed that Courtney Kemp, she brought up the fact that now that 2-Bit's back and he knows so much, like he could be an asset to both sides. So like he could be an asset to Tariq, or also an asset to the lawyers or the cops or whatever. So he's like a valuable kind of character at the moment, but I feel like he's gonna have more animosity towards Tariq and Tasha. So he might end up opposing them rather than being of help. And of course, like the motive of McLean and Sax is to put away Tariq and let Tasha go. So he's a threat basically. So
And also the fact that he, if he doesn't, if he isn't aware already, if he ever finds out that Tasha has been saying that Tommy was behind all this other stuff, that Tommy killed Ghost, then this is someone that can obviously defend Tommy. So it's definitely a threat to them
Okay.
if he finds out any of that information.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, because he, like, if you think about it, he's pretty much the stand-in for Tommy at the moment because Tommy's not here. So yeah, that's a good point. But what did you think about seeing Two Bit back, Dana?
I thought he was dead.
No,
So
that
for
it
me,
was the other guy that died.
see, it was a while ago, and then you were going back to Power, and I'm old. And 2020, we're already like 5 years into 2020. So
True.
forgot and honestly thought he was dead. So I was like, oh, I thought this was like a ghost moment until I was like, oh, more people can see him. He's real. And then I was like, oh, this is really exciting because remember, he knows a lot of things. And about the thing about him is that he's not trustworthy at all. So I don't know where his character could go, which is a good thing for us because it's one of those situations where he could end up, siding with Tariq in all of this. And Tariq is still in his little emotions and feelings. And if he finds out that, they're trying to bring down whomever, him next, then this might be a really interesting situation where we have to see Tariq kind of choose between himself or his mother. And remember, if you go back, like Tariq was more than willing to take the fall during that whole situation. So is he really willing to sacrifice his freedom to make sure his mother is free? So it just opened a lot of questions, and it's kind of exciting to see, and also the case just in general, which we'll get into, of how they played that. I thought that was fun.
Do you guys get the sense that Tariq is ready to like take the charge if they find out it's him? Because from what I've been seeing, he seems pretty accepting of it. Like if they let his mum go and then try to lock him up, he seems like he's okay because he knows that he did it. So it seems like he's accepting his fate a little bit. Like he seems like a bit nonchalant, like he's not really bothered if he's caught. Do you guys get that impression too?
Remember, he wanted to turn himself in that whole finale of them taking Tasha away. This wasn't like, yeah, you take the fall, mom. He's always been there for his mother, and I feel, he did it. Whether or not we seen that one moment when he got really drunk at the cemetery, and he explained, it had to be me. I had to do it. Him doing it. But overall, we don't really see the ramifications of him mentally being impacted by killing his father. But we do know that he's willing to do anything for his mother.
Right.
I would like to make a prediction based off of something that Dana had mentioned. It would be interesting if this thing comes full circle and Tariq all of a sudden changes his mind later, which will be a callback to when Ghost told Tariq, yeah. I will take the charge if you are charged for this. If this information comes out about the murder, and then Ghost reneged on that because he had an opportunity to, run for governor. Work with the governor, lieutenant governor rather. So it would be interesting if Tariq, all this time we've seen Tariq say yes, he's willing to sacrifice himself for his mother, but then something happens in the next couple of episodes, whereas when this comes up again, he says, "Nah, mom, I can't do it. So you're on your own." Because then that'll show again the similarities between father and son, where the father didn't want to, he was so willing to help his son out, but then when he saw an opportunity to better himself, he said, "Nah, son, I'll help you out another way, but you're gonna have to take this charge." So we'll see what they do with that. But if that happens, then he's even more like with his father than we've seen before.
I think something like that is too bold of a move for this first season. Maybe like season 4, but not right now.
I don't think the trial can go on that long though.
I don't think that this is going to be a limited series.
Yeah, no, it's not a limited series.
Yeah.
But y'all did see next week. It looks like there's going to be some movement in that trial based on the preview with Tasha. Because the trailer for next week shows they're in the courtroom and I guess they reached a verdict. So I don't know what that means yet. We have to wait until next week. But yeah, it makes sense if they hold off on that. I do agree it'd be too fast. But we'll see what happens.
To Rich's point though, I think I do think that possibly because we saw in this episode that him and Lauren still have a lot of like untapped feelings for each other or whatever. So like maybe it escalates and she ends up leaving her boyfriend or something, and then they fall knee deep in love together. Tariq and Lauren, and then he won't want to go prison because he's got the perfect life. Like he's got the girl, he's got the college, he's selling drugs. Like he might not want to go to prison. So
I would be so angry if this ends up because a girl. And you start looking for a girl. I mean, come on, man. No. That just seems to be like the cheap way out.
Well, this is what happened with Ghost, right? This is how Ghost decided to ruin his marriage because of Angela. So
did he ruin his marriage, or did he just better himself?
That's a good question.
I would agree, because if you're getting with Angela, that means you are bettering yourself. So I agree.
Certainly.
But yeah, so we'll get back to that later though, because it ties into other stuff. But so there's a scene where Monet's family are having a squabble about things, and then Monet says something to the effect that you guys are like sleeping with people at the college or whatever, and then she walks off. And then Kane takes that to mean that Diana was with Tariq or something, but it was actually, Drew. And then Drew was very secretive in that moment. He kind of, he didn't say anything to bail out his sister who didn't do anything. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you think Drew's reaction, not Drew, what do you think Kane's reaction is going to be if he finds out that Drew has a situation at the college? Like, is he gonna be mad about that or what? Because he should know about his sexual life, right?
Yeah, I thought it was very clear that all the family knows that that Drew, he likes other guys. But the whole thing is, that was a very interesting scene because we already knew that Kane was a loose cannon. And from the previous episode when he had the whole exchange with Tariq, and then you saw the scene where pretty much Monet was very accepting of Tariq, and he didn't like that either. So it's kind of like it plays into the whole thing of him seeing that Monet is considering Tariq a replacement or more like a son because he's doing a good job business wise. But that's going to create a lot of conflicts with Kane, as in terms of and as you get into other stuff that happens with that character in this episode, in terms of all the things that happens with him. Yeah, it seems as though he's being pushed on the outside, and now there's going to be some want to retaliate. But yeah, you saw how he reacted to the thought that Diana could be messing around with Tariq. There is going to be some tension between those two characters. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see how that goes. But the fact that Drew was not willing to speak up, I don't really know why he wasn't willing to speak up in that situation. We know that his boyfriend, Everett, does not want, he doesn't want Zeke to know about it since they are teammates. But this is a totally different situation. I would have thought that he would have just admitted and said, yeah, I'm messing around with somebody there. But I guess we'll find out more about that later, because I thought everybody knew that that he's gay already. So
Right. Yeah, I guess it could just be he doesn't want it to get back to Zeke or something. But I feel like, everyone was kind of taking it out on Diana, so it's like, yo, you could have threw your sister a bone, man.
oh yeah,
But Kane, he does seem pretty. He seems like he's just waiting for a reason to snap on Tariq. So, like you said, so there's definitely going to be some tension there. But did you have anything to say about that scene, Dana?
No, it was just a lot of yelling during that scene. I kind of also feel that it's just Mary J. Blige's job to just yell at people on the show.
Seems like it.
It's a lot of yelling.
Yeah,
But no, I think that right now everybody's in like slightly the little. I don't want to say paranoid, but just in the we're not used to this. What's going on right now? So everyone is just taking out their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have yet to see that family agree on anything. Like they're always just going back and forth with each other. Like, so.
Well, if you look at it, it's really just the mom. Because you have one son who's busy playing basketball. You have another son who's just wants to run the empire. The other one doesn't really kind of care. And then you have the girl, and she's like just into Tariq, probably just following everybody else's orders. I think if she wasn't in that dynamic, she wouldn't care as much either. If she was allowed, it seems to me that aside from one son, everyone is not allowed to be or do what they want to do. We discussed this before. Mary J. Blige's character is very controlling. And she keeps saying, it's family empire. And I get that, but I don't feel right now, there's an empire. In the sense, where is your empire that you're screaming that you have? Granted, you are doing better than other people. And I'm not saying that you're not successful. I'm just saying, where is this empire that you are basically giving everyone a headache about?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see more of like if Drew and Diana wasn't, working on the family business, I would like to see what they would be doing outside of that, like what other hobbies and interests they have, like because it seems like, because Kane, it's believable that all he does is drug dealing because he's just believable as that type of character, right? But those two seem a bit more reluctant to be involved.
Exactly.
So I want to see like what else they're into and what they would be doing if they wasn't being controlled by their mother, kind of thing.
They don't genuinely seem happy in what they're doing. Even if you look at Tariq, in his situation, he did it, you can say, he was doing it to anger his father. But even now, he seems to not I don't want to say passion, because that seems to be the wrong word, but he's not someone who is pursuing other interests and feels that, this is wrong. This is something he is still actively doing.
Yeah.
So it to me, it feels like it's just a different mood.
Yeah, because like with Tariq, he's a drug dealer, but like you see him do, like he plays chess, he does his class, and he does these other things. So I just want to see what more there is to those two characters in particular, because like, okay, sure, they have like romance arcs as well, because Diana is she kind of likes Tariq, and then Drew, Drew and Everett. But like outside of that, who are they? That I just want to see more depth to those characters, because it just seems like they're there to get bossed around by Monet.
Richard, you laugh because you know it's true.
yeah. You're absolutely 100% correct. And I will also. Oh yeah, and I was also going to add. I mean, obviously. I'll save it for later when you get into what happens later in this episode, because I do have a comment to make of something that I discovered in that one of those last conversations we saw before the episode ended. So I'll touch upon that later, but continue.
Yeah, we'll keep it moving. We'll get back to that. So because these characters come up a lot in this episode. So
yeah,
we'll get to that. Let's see what happens. So Sax he tells Riley to stay away from Tariq and Brayden and everything, but of course she doesn't listen. And then we then see later on that Brayden and his brother Trace have a fight because Brayden realizes that his brother took some of the product, which we saw in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually have a fight, and then Kane turns up at the college. He's looking for Tariq, and of course, Brayden stays in the same room as Tariq. And Tariq isn't there, but Kane gets mad when Brayden calls him by his name, and he pulls out a gun, and he puts it on Trace, he puts it on Brayden, and he's pretty much agitated, that these two white boys know his name and everything like that. So he plans to scare them both. So he kidnaps them essentially, and takes them for a drive. And we'll get back to that later. I guess. Let me see what's next. Actually, let's just talk about it now. So yeah. So he kidnaps them, and then he takes them out to the street and everything, and he basically forces them to sell the drugs. And then we begin to see the two parallels between the brothers, whereas Trace, he's not too comfortable, he's not street smart, so he kind of struggles. But Brayden feels completely comfortable, and he's able to strike a conversation with those black guys on the streets, and then he manages to actually sell the drugs and everything. And then and then later on we see Kane pick them up, and Trace is actually getting into an altercation, so Brayden has to go and rescue him. And then Kane gets pulled over, and the cop, which is Monet's boyfriend, pulls them over, and like they have an intense exchange, and then the cop brings the boys back. But so for this discussion, let's focus on what happens with Trace and Brayden and Kane in particular, right? So I want to ask you guys what you thought about that. First of all, like what you thought about Brayden, because this is like a shining moment for the character, I guess. And then also I want to ask you guys, like, do you feel like Trace is going to be a weak link later on, based on what we saw? So Dana, you go first.
Well, in this regard, here's the weird thing. What I loved about this dynamic was that we knew that one brother was more street smart than the other one, and we also knew that the other brother had way more of a temper than the other one. But when they work together, they match each other well. When they're all in the same sync and not arguing with each other. And one of the things that I really did love was the fact that he did not want his brother harmed. No, his words was basically saying only I can harm him. Which kind of I really liked that dynamic and have him trying to save his brother, and that he is willing to let me go and step up and do the job in order for everything to work out with my brother. So I really appreciate that, and I like that dynamic. So if they do work together and they don't seem to, argue with each other, they could not necessarily have a successful, but they can live through whatever next jobs that they have to do. So I liked the dynamic there. It also adds that kind of weird. It's a weird kind of dynamic to just overall with him teaming up with the guy. I forgot his name. The one who kidnapped him, I just forgot for some reason. Kane, sorry. So it leads to that really weird dynamic that kind of still works. In a weird way, it reminds me of Proctor kind of trying to sell drugs. Like if Proctor was to sell drugs, that would be the twins. Not the twins, the brothers right there. So I did like that aspect of where they're going with this. It brings like a wannabe dynamic to the story, because we have kids who don't want to be. We have Tariq, who's determined to be, and then we have these kids here who's like, I want to be because I've watched a lot of The Wire, and let's see if I can make it. And they're really rich and they're bored, and so they're like, yeah, let's go be drug dealers. Woo! So it brings out that weird different dynamic to the show that I am not mad at.
Right. And Rich, what did you think about the two brothers?
Well, from the very moment that we saw Brayden introduced into this show, I think we all thought, well, this is them trying to recreate Tommy and Ghost. And obviously, in this episode, I think, as you pointed out, this is the episode where they highlighted Brayden a lot more. They showed that he was street smart, but they also showed that this character truly is the new Tommy by how he conducted himself business wise. And then you know that when they had the conversation when he after he did sell the product, and then he gets back and he tells Tariq what happened. He tells him that he loved making money on his own because he didn't have to rely on his parents. He was able to make money. So that tells me that this character is definitely about to go down a much darker path in terms of doing the stuff, because you saw Tariq said, no, man, you can't do that again. You shouldn't be doing that. So, but he liked doing it because it gave him the empowerment of being able to make money without relying on his parents, even though his parents have money and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to see what they do with him. But in terms of his brother, I do agree that his brother is going to be the weak link, because even when they had the conversation with the officer after they had got rescued, he was still saying, you need to keep quiet, forget about this. And the brother kept talking, and Brayden had to tell him, just shut up, just listen to what he's saying. So this guy is definitely going to be the weak link. And if I could make a prediction, I don't want to go too far ahead, but I will say this: if he does, and it does eventually, try to, get Monet and Kane in trouble, I could see Kane killing this guy, and I could see Brayden now wanting to kill Kane because he killed his brother. Because again, just like Dana mentioned, the brothers have a strong bond. So if something happens to Trace, which I think we can all agree something is going to happen to his brother, that's going to lead him to want to get revenge, and it's going to get a lot darker than it is right now. So yeah, this was a highlight of the episode for me, though, seeing them throw these two brothers in this predicament, and then you seeing firsthand how they operated and how this is going to impact things moving forward, because there's no way that his brother is going to forget this and not try to do some type of retaliation. So I'm just curious to see how they progress it from here.
Yeah, there's so many ways this could go, and that's an interesting dynamic about Kane potentially killing Trace and stuff. But I do feel like in this episode, Trace showed snitching tendencies. So
Yep.
So that's definitely going to be tested again. So I feel like he's going to cause some trouble for sure. And there's another character that I think might get caught up in it that we're going to talk about soon. But
okay.
But yeah, great takes there, all around. So let's get to the next part, right? Because we saw that the cop boyfriend, Ramirez, I believe his name is. He pulled over Drew. Sorry, not Drew. Kane. And yeah, they have a tense exchange. Now, we've seen that there's been tension between these two characters for a while. Like Kane, the way Kane looks at Ramirez and everything when he sees that he's around the home and stuff. So how far do you think this this is gonna go? Like this intensity between those two characters. Like, do you see Kane potentially doing something to harm Ramirez in the future? Because I kind of get that impression, like he just wants him out the way. So, Dana, any thoughts on that?
Oh, no, yet. I think it's a wee bit too early to tell. I'm on the fence. What do you say?
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Rich?
Yeah. I agree that with Dana, I'm on the fence, but I will also admit this: the preview for next week leads me to believe that he now wants to work with Ramirez based on what happened at the end of this episode. And we'll get into that soon. But I think for right now, I mean, I think yes, he doesn't like Ramirez, obviously. So I think he can definitely turn on him, but for now, he might try to align himself with him so that they can both get what they want. But again, we'll see what happens because again, Kane is a wild card. That's one thing the show has told us consistently. He will do whatever he wants to do, and if he feels disrespected, then he's going to definitely try and do something to retaliate. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Okay. So throughout, the episode, right? We see that, Drew and Diana, they end up back at campus and everything. Drew goes to visit Everett. They're supposed to actually be working, on some drug stuff, but their phones going off all the time, like the vibrations and everything. And Drew just can't help himself, and he upstairs to go see his boyfriend, and yeah, and while he's with Everett, there's a knock on the door, and somebody drops off some files. It's supposed to be for some extra tutoring or something, but Drew sees that it's something called course correct, right? And attached to it is some pills, basically the drugs that they're selling. So he, obviously he figures out how Tariq is selling the product and everything, and then Diana actually comes to the school as well to find him, and he tells her about it, and then she actually goes to confront Tariq as well directly about it. And we also see in this episode that Riley turns up at the school, and she's actually going to see Brayden, who lives in the same room as Tariq, and Brayden is out selling for Kane, because that stuff happened already, right? So they don't know where Brayden is, and it ends up where Tariq is alone with Riley, and they play chess to pass the time or whatever. So these things happen, right? And then near the end of the episode, we see that Diana actually goes home, and she tells her mother, about the course correct. Even though Tariq asks her not to say anything, she actually does. And then Tariq and Monet have a phone call about it, right? And Monet actually says that it's okay. She ends up saying that it's okay for now or whatever. But I want to ask you guys, right? So now they know how Tariq's system is working, and surely it's all gonna go downhill from here, right? Like that's what you would think. So I wanted to, my theory that I had is, I think Riley is gonna figure it out, right? And then that might be, where the system, starts to kind of become a threat once people know about it, and then and if she tells Sax about it, that's even more dangerous, because then they're gonna know exactly what to look for, and that can bring everything down. They could build a case off of that if they wanted to, right? So do you guys feel like that might be what's coming, or do you think there are other risks now, that everyone knows about course correct? So what did you think about that, Rich?
Well, I think that's a good theory. The only thing that I would say is that I don't know if Riley is going to be the one to actually do this, because one thing that we did see throughout this entire episode, with her interacting with Tariq, she made herself look very suspicious to Tariq. She was searching through his stuff when he came back to the dorm room, and he had all these questions for her about why you're doing this, why you're doing that, and she's making up these bogus excuses. So I kind of feel like, and then of course when they had the conversation when they were playing chess, she mentioned that she had drugged him with the drink, and he doesn't recall what that's all about. So I think he's going to remember this stuff later, because that was the hint that was thrown in there, that maybe this is somebody you should not trust. So I don't think he has figured it out quite yet, but I think that the character is definitely going to figure it out. So I don't know if she is going to have an opportunity to expose him and what's really going on. I will add that they had that one scene when Diana did show up, and then you saw Tariq got a text that said we need to talk soon.
Yeah.
That right there is, again, he didn't see her, he didn't catch her reading that text, but she did copy that information. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do. But there's no way that he can't be somewhat suspicious of her in some regard because of what happened prior to all of that. So I'm very curious to see um, how things progress with the storyline forward. But in terms of the theory that you had, I definitely believe that somebody is going to blow up Tariq's spot. I also feel that Diana is not done because she went to her mom and told her about that because they wanted to stop Tariq, shut him down. That's what she wanted to do. Since her mom didn't agree to that, now I'll be curious to see how she is going to progress forward. One thing that I do know that we learned so far this season is that she has a very good relationship with her father. So she could very well tell her father about all of this. But, would her father overstep the boundaries of his wife since his wife is running things now? I don't think so. But I do think that she definitely is going to continue to try to take him down one way or another because of all the stuff, the tension between those two characters and all this other stuff. So if there's anyone that ultimately Tariq should be concerned about, I think it is Diana. Riley also, but I kind of feel like he can probably figure Riley out at some point, but he has to pay attention a lot more closely from here on out, for sure.
Yeah. And I can completely foresee a situation as well where maybe one day, Riley comes looking for Brayden, and instead maybe her brother's there. I mean, his brother's there. And then, if they get to talking, he might snitch about it to her or something like that, and then she'll
That's
find out like
true.
That.
That's a very good theory. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So 2 weak links, and I believe those two characters already interacted before, right? In the last episode.
They did.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be interesting. But any thoughts on that, Dana, with regards to Riley and the course correct systems?
The course correct system. I don't. It might be a threat, not right now, but later on. I view the girl who was in the room playing chess. She's slightly annoying. I don't know why she keeps. She's just annoying. She's always there, and you can't get rid of her for some reason because she's still there.
Yeah, she does come across as one of those like annoying people.
She's like one of those groupies.
Well, hold on. So are y'all saying that Courtney Kemp has been consistent with having the annoying character since this is Sax's niece? So they're both annoying. So they did a good job with the casting.
They did a great job with the casting in this whole situation. It's just, my gosh, she's just there always. You can't get rid of her. And I'm surprised that Tariq isn't annoyed by her either because he was like, "You're annoying." So the fact that she's still there, I don't know. The course correct situation, I know that she's busy gathering evidence as much as she can for the, hopefully he's trying to do the trial and to charge him instead, but I don't really see this going somewhere right away. I feel that this is something that probably has to play out, but I just can't see it adding up to the overall picture of what Sax is trying to do. So you have to wait and see. But this whole thing was just like, can we just get rid of her, kill her, or something?
Yeah, I mean
that's probably coming. That's probably coming. I think Gary made a prediction the last podcast that this is a character that probably will get killed. I think that's coming.
I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, like something bad will happen. To, either to her or Brayden's brother. Like somebody's gonna get hurt. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Brayden and his brother again, Ramirez actually warns Monet about that family, because obviously Ramirez, he saw that Kane had them pushing drugs on the streets and everything. So he went home to warn Monet about that because, that's a very powerful family because they have like a rich, they have rich parents who are well known and stuff like that. So So he warns Monet about that. So I'm wondering now if, if it means that, Kane or the Monet family in general will kind of give Brayden a pass, or I don't think Kane will. I don't think Kane will give anyone a pass because he's just that hot headed where he probably won't care. So if they cross him, he probably will hurt them. But I do believe Monet is gonna tell the family to be careful and just and not cross them, kind of thing. But I'm wondering how long that's gonna last. But yeah, that's just something quickly I wanted to bring up. And then also, next we also saw 2-Bit take the stand, which was a pretty cool scene. And he denied ever knowing Tommy Egan. And he did it really well. Like, he just said, I don't know anything about that, and he actually made it look believable. Kind of thing, and they even showed a picture of Tommy Egan, and he said, "Nope, never seen this guy before in my life." He was lying through his teeth, of course, and yeah, he denies ever seeing Tasha also, but he made sure to mention that he helped out Tariq, and he mentioned that Tariq was, he was mixing up with the wrong people, so he kind of laid the groundwork there for what Sax and Davis McLean are going for, because they want to nail Tariq, right? So 2-Bit basically lays the groundwork. This worries Tasha a lot because now Tariq's name is being thrown in there, even though some of the pressure is coming off of her. Tariq's name is now in the mix again, and she actually calls Tariq, and she asks him, does 2-Bit know anything, that can incriminate him, like anything about Ray Ray or, him killing his father or anything, right? And that got me thinking, how much does 2-Bit know actually? Does he know who killed Ghost? I mean, he probably has a good idea, right?
Well, I mean, I thought he was already in jail at the time that, because remember they had the whole scene where, him and Spanky they got thrown into jail, and they alluded to the fact that Ghost they were having conversations, and Ghost had told him that he told him that it wasn't Tommy, it was Dre that set him up, and then when Dre got to jail, they took Dre out. So I think he was already in jail by the time that that Ghost got killed.
Yeah, he was in jail, but he spoke to Tommy again, right?
Yeah, they did have a conversation.
Okay.
But that was in that conversation. That was when basically he told him that Spanky was the one that ratted on him, and so he basically gave him the tip to take out Spanky, and that's what Tommy did.
Okay, but Tommy didn't tell him who killed Ghost, though, right?
I don't recall him ever saying that to him. I assume that I'm pretty sure that the people are the people who love to listen to the show. Feel free to let us know in the comments section, but I don't ever recall him finding out about that information. I mean, I believe he did find out that Ghost got killed, but I don't think he ever knew who did it.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay, so yeah, so I guess 2-Bit doesn't really know that for sure, but but he knows enough to be a threat for sure. And I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with the character now, because we did see towards the end of the episode that he now is out of prison. So what you guys think is gonna be like his first move now? Any ideas? Dana?
That I don't know. Maybe he might branch out on his own. There is the possibility of him hitting up Tariq, but again, the whole thing is I don't know. Ghost is dead. We don't know where we know where Tommy is, but we don't know in the show where he is. He's not coming back. I don't believe so. Everyone else is dead or in jail. So he just might branch out on his own and do his own thing.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Rich, any ideas of what you think he might do next?
I definitely think he could branch out and do his own thing, but considering that this has really been the only character that has been loyal to Tommy through all of this. They're definitely going to link up again at some point. I just don't know if that's going to happen on Tommy's show or whenever Tommy returns, because I still get a feeling that Tommy is going to return before this season is over. And when he returns, 2-Bit can give him information on what's happening. But the question that I want the answer on is that if 2-Bit knows that Tasha has been saying that Tommy is the one that killed Ghost, because if he knows that information and he tells Tommy that information, well, at that point, now he has to deal with Tasha. So I'm very curious to know whether or not he knows or he's heard any of this information. We'll have to wait and see. But what I do know is that whatever happens to that character, he is aligned with Tommy, since obviously he had an opportunity to talk bad about Tommy throughout that whole time that they were talking. When they asked questions, he didn't say nothing. He remained loyal to the very end. So whatever happens with him, I think you're going to definitely see him once again link up with Tommy sooner or later.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening. And that will be quite, that will be a cool moment to see those two characters reunited for sure. So I hope we get to see that sooner rather than later. I'm still, going with the theory that we're going to see Tommy at the end of the season somehow. So maybe, they'll reunite then. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that he's out now. So yeah, and then we have, another squabble between the Tajada family. So Monet and Kane are arguing about his actions earlier. She's telling him, about obviously about the risks that he took when he kidnapped those guys and everything. And Kane basically also, what they need Tariq for, and why they're working with him. They could push, they can push the product in Queens. They don't need him, and the conversation gets pretty heated to the point where Diana comes downstairs to kind of confront Kane, and he turns around to to kind of like get her to because I think she touches him or something, so he turns around to face her. And then, there's a situation where, he quickly turns around and then he accidentally knocks over his mother, Monet Tajada. And then, he realizes his mistake and that he got too heated in the moment. And, he puts his hand out to help her get up, but she pushes it away. And yeah, pretty intense moment there. And this leads right into what we see next, where, Kane goes to his father for some guidance. He lets him know what happened and everything. And, Lorenzo basically says, Monet represents me, while I'm here in prison. So you have to listen to her, do what she says until it's your moment to lead the family or whatever. And then we see that, on Kane's way out, the COs actually give him a beatdown. And then, his father stands over him and says, don't you ever put your hands on, my wife again, basically. So I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of that, because I was really curious of where Lorenzo's loyalties would lie, because we know that, fathers are particularly fond of their boys, right? Because they want them to be, the next big thing, like they want them to take over the family and continue their own legacy kind of thing. But in this moment, it seems like he's way more protective of his wife than his son. Yep. In this moment. So he basically favors Monet here. And yeah, so I wanted to ask you guys what you basically thought of that and where this could lead in future episodes. So go ahead, Rich.
Okay. I definitely have a lot to say, so I'm gonna try to be brief because I want to hear what Dana has to say. So when I made the comment earlier about I was going to wait to save what I had to say about Kane, one very important thing that when you listen to the conversation he had with Monet, one thing that he said that stood out to me, that hopefully it stood out to everybody, is that he made mention that, well, yeah, Drew and Diana are your kids. I'm Lorenzo's son. So to me, yes, Lorenzo could have had, he could have had a previous wife or a previous woman that he was messing around with, and Lorenzo is, I mean, to say Kane is his son, whereas the other two are the two kids that he had with Monet, and I think that again plays into the whole fact of what was said earlier about, Kane looks at himself as now being a bit of an outcast now, because when Tariq came into the picture and he's doing the great thing with the business and stuff, this is why Monet really took a liking to him. But it also reinforces the fact why she is so hard and wants Drew and Diana to take over, to really get involved in this, because they are her kids. She's very protective of them, obviously, but she wants them to get into the business, because I feel like with Kane, that is Lorenzo's son, like legitimate son. I mean, all the kids are theirs, but I'm saying that Lorenzo clearly, I believe it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, that maybe Monet is his stepmother and not his real mother. So I mean, that's what I got out of that conversation, because when he said those words, that really stood out to me, where he made mention of that. So I could see that. I could see that coming. But now, when you go to the scene where they had the confrontation, where he talks to his dad, and then he gets the beatdown later from the people that work for his dad. One question that I asked myself as a viewer is, why didn't Kane tell his dad, you know that your wife is having an affair, right? Because he knows Ramirez is sleeping with his mom. So why would you not? That was an opportunity to tell him, because then, the way that all that conversation looked is that, yes, Kane had to be put in his place, and that's why he got beat down after that. But if he told his dad at that point in time, you also need to know this: mom is messing around with Ramirez. That, I think, would have changed this dynamic significantly, and it would have made him trust his son more and really question what's going on with his wife. And I feel like they're saving that moment of Lorenzo finding out his wife is having an affair for a much later time. But if I was that character at that point in time, because he had just had the conversation with Ramirez, and obviously Ramirez, he felt disrespected by that conversation. That's why I wondered to myself, why didn't you, at that point, when you went to talk to your dad, why didn't you tell him, you need to know this guy is messing around with mom? That was the perfect opportunity to do that. So I don't know why he didn't do that. But again, what I got out of this episode with that character, by the very end of the episode where he got beat down, I don't think that he's going to necessarily turn on Ramirez quite yet. I think he's going to see this as an opportunity to say, they're trying to take us out of the business, so we should work together and really try to get control. Because now I think he's on a collision course with not trusting his mom, not willing to work with her, and he's going to try and find another way to get some people to align with him. So it's a very dramatic family dynamic in terms of what's going to happen next. But that was what I got out of all of this, with those characters in particular. And I'm very curious to see how they, frame the storyline, how they continue to tell the story moving forward, because clearly there are issues between all of them at this point. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you made some excellent points there, and I do agree that they're probably saving that moment. I do believe that might be the turning point of when Lorenzo kind of starts to favor Kane more, when he finds out that Monet's messing around. But yeah, they're definitely saving that for later. But Dana, did you have anything to add to that, and what you thought of that scene?
No, just the fact that I don't see him going to his father and saying, "Look, Mama's sleeping around with another man." One, he doesn't know that arrangement. It could easily backfire, and I don't see him wanting to get his mother killed. That can also be one of those things that happens as well. So it's just not his place at the moment to say that. Everything that he brought to his father had to do with the family, and in terms of business, how that is run. don't see him going around and saying, "Look at Mama and what she's doing with all these with another man." So that's for me is why I didn't see him, or if there even being a reason for him to say about that. So yeah,
Okay. And what did you think about the beatdown that Kane got? Like, was that warranted? Like, do you feel like he deserved it?
I was surprised at first, but then no, because it was a beat down to put him in his place. Remember the whole thing with the you put your hands on your mother, and for me that kind of scene was a little bit confusing. Where I think that she just happened to be at the wrong place, and he didn't mean to hit her.
Yeah.
It just happened to be one of those situations. And even when he went to reach for his mother, he put his hand down and he realized what happened, and she slapped it away from him. But it's very interesting that also the kind of power dynamic, because I felt that she knew that he was going to go see his father, which is why she jumped ahead and made sure that he knew that information first, and then that's how he got the beat down. So there again, it's like always a power struggle between the mom and the son, and then the son and the father. And then you have Tariq coming in. So everything is just out of order right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because clearly, Kane is the he's the young blood, and he wants to be on the top. He wants to be at the top level, and as we all do when we're young, we want to we have all these dreams and aspirations of where we see ourselves in the future and stuff. So he's trying to get there, but he just keeps getting brought back down by both Monet and his father. So I think that frustration is definitely going to get to him at some point, and he's just going to snap and make some very impulsive decisions. So I can't wait to see all of this kind of explode and just happen so we can all see it. So it's going to be interesting. But was there anything else in this episode that stood out to you guys that you wanted to touch on in particular?
I did want to say one thing. I did love the fact with the Sax and Method Man's character working together, both two slimy people, and how that just threw off the judge. He's like, "What's going on? Why are you guys so happy and cordial?" So I thought that was a very nice dynamic to see them play.
Yeah, that was funny. Like when they were picking the jurors or whatever, and like he was like, no hassle at all. What was you gonna say, Rich?
Do we agree that, or do we agree or disagree that clearly, the whole thing with 2-Bit going free, did Method Man screw over Sax at the end of this episode, or was that by design that they wanted to? They just wanted to make it known that Tariq is now he's someone that you should take a deeper look at to the jury, or did he? Because it felt to me like at the end of the episode where Sax, you had Stephen Ott, that guy came in there, that Democratic candidate guy, and I laughed at that exchange where he was clapping because he said, "Yeah, you did a horrible job." I wanted to know if that was, did it feel to y'all like that was by design, that they're still working together, or was that a situation where Sax didn't anticipate that certain questions were not going to get answered, that he asked 2-Bit in the actual case?
Yeah, I mean he crossed him a little bit, I guess, but they still managed to go with the ultimate the ultimate thing that they're going for, which is they want to nail it on Tariq.
Yeah.
And I guess in Sax's position, it's like he has a boss or whatever. He has bosses that he has to satisfy, and they want everything. So they want Tasha. If they can get Tasha and the whole thing exposed or whatever, as much information as they can, then it benefits them. So I guess maybe what Davis did, it crossed them a little bit on that, but I don't feel like it's going to be to the degree where there's any tension between them, because it seems like they're pretty settled on what the direction is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it will cause any tension. But yeah, he crossed him a little bit, and maybe there will be tension between the two again, but maybe for other reasons. But I don't think this is going to directly cause any long-term conflict. But I guess we'll see, because I don't really remember what the preview showed. To be honest.
Oh, the preview showed quite a bit of information. Quite a lot to look forward to in the next episode. And yeah, there was another conversation between Ramirez and Kane where he was basically trying to tell Ramirez, we need to work together because Monet has lost control. That's why I had made that comment before. So it's we have to see how the story evolves. There's two quick points I want to mention about this episode. Also, we had the very brief exchange between, where Tariq went to go visit Lauren, and then you see that the boyfriend Malcolm shows up, talks about he was in town just visiting, and then you saw Tariq come out of nowhere, very bold, and say, "Hey, well, I had to stop by and give her something." So we know that Tariq is very bold, and said that he is going to be the one to get with Lauren. And you saw a little bit of that in this episode, so I think something's going to happen between him and this Malcolm character. Either she will kick Malcolm to the curb, or they're going to have some type of disagreement, argument, whatever, him and Tariq. And I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see. But the other point I was going to make is that in addition to all that happened with that, yeah. You know what? I can't remember what else I was going to say.
Okay.
Because there was one other scene that happened, but I can't think of it for some reason at this moment. So it must not have been that important. Yeah, I'll have more to say as things progress with the story.
Okay. And Dana, did you have anything else to add, or not really?
No, that seemed to be everything. It was a good start from coming back from 2 months now.
Yeah.
The show. I thought it was a good start. We'll have to see what else is going on. Hopefully this trial does not linger long. And hopefully what I do want, Tasha wasn't in this at all.
She was, but not for long.
Not really. It was like, a 2-second thing on a phone? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
well, and the trial, but she didn't really say anything.
She really didn't say anything at the trial. It was more of 2-bit.
That's going to happen in the next episode, because they did show her in that courtroom in that next episode. So we'll see a lot more of her next week.
Yes. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing her more.
Yeah, and if you think about it, even Tariq wasn't in this episode as much as usual, because it was more focused on everyone else, to be honest. So even though Tariq is the main character, he kind of took a backseat this week. He was in the show, of course, but it seemed like all the moving parts were really the other characters. So,
and you know what? Now I remember exactly what I was going to say. The Everett character, I kind of feel like something is going to happen to that character based on all that went down in this episode, because he was hitting up old boy Drew. All the messages, all them texts is like, yeah, man, you got to relax, man. It's an emergency situation. He was hitting them up, but then to find out that he also is a part of the course correct. He's been taking the same product as everybody else. The fact that he does not want to be open and honest about coming out because he's worried about his career. And again, he also plays with their cousin Zeke. So I kind of feel like, though, something is going to happen with that character, and either with that character or with Drew, because Drew was very willing to stop listening, stop doing what his mom said, and let me immediately go and make sure he's all right, and we have to talk and all this other stuff. So that's why I say Drew is a little bit distracted, because you saw that his mom told him that he needed to stay there and work, and he decided, no, I'm going to leave anyway. So something is definitely going to happen, either with him or the Everett character, because you see that now that is a distraction where he's supposed to be focused on the business stuff. That's a bit of a problem. So we'll see what happens, but I do not think that relationship is going to end well, because of what has been going on, especially in this episode. So we'll see.
Yeah. And then also he didn't want Diana to tell Monet about the course correct because he wants an excuse to be at the college.
Yes. I'm glad you pointed that out. Yes, I forgot about that. You're 100% right. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, his focus is completely elsewhere. So I think that's definitely a threat to him and Everett. 'Cause, yeah, and if Kane finds out, like, who knows what that dynamic will be. So yeah. But yeah, so I was just gonna ask, was there anything else notable in that preview that we should be looking forward to next week? Because I don't really remember much of it. It was so fast.
Yeah, I believe that there will be a verdict on the trial because they had made mention of that because they had the scene where Tasha was standing up with everybody else, the jury, everybody else was standing to get to hear the verdict. So we're going to definitely, it appears to me that the case will be over or be concluding next week unless they decide to end the episode off on a cliffhanger and make you wait until the following week to hear the judge say guilty or not guilty. I don't think they're going to do that. And there's going to be obviously further escalation with Kane and the officer Ramirez, because they had their conversation about trying to take someone, trying to do what they're doing. Aside from that, it was a brief preview, so not really too much that you can tell from there. We'll have to wait to see what else, but it looks to me like a lot is going to happen next week to progress the storyline forward. So we'll have to wait and see what actually happens, because it could very well just be an episode to build tension to the remaining other episodes. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. So based on that, I want to say, I think there's going to be a death coming pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
On the show.
Yeah.
And next week would be a good time for it to happen because that'll be episode 7, and after that you got 2 more episodes left, basically. Wait, is it 2? 8? Oh,
no, 3.
3. My bad. You have 3 episodes left after that. And yeah, so like, I believe, and the fact that that preview was so short as well, it makes me think like they're really trying to like hide stuff. So, I think something major is gonna happen next week, for sure. And like you said, we're gonna get the end of the trial, and who knows what that's gonna mean. The end of the trial, like that could mean anything. Like it could mean Tariq gets picked up, or it could mean Tasha goes to jail, like gets sentenced or whatever. Like so, who knows what that's gonna mean. But I think some pretty big stuff, some major stuff is gonna happen next week for sure. So I just want to say one final thing to give you and the listeners a preview of the titles for the next couple episodes. Episode 10 doesn't have a title right now. Episode 7's title is Sex Week. Episode 8, Family First, and Episode 9, Monster. So, yeah, that's a very interesting title. So something definitely sounds like it's something dramatic going to happen in Episode 9. Wait, so Ghost is coming back in Episode 9?
Well, hey, that could be the episode that Tommy returns. Since Tasha has everybody believing, yes, Tommy killed Ghost and Tommy's a horrible person. So that could be the episode that Tommy returns, if he does return to this show. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm definitely interested. And yeah, I mean, this episode was decent. It was enjoyable. I'll say that. And I don't have too many gripes. I'm just interested to see what's gonna come next. So that's my verdict. But yeah, that's pretty much our recap. And I think that people will be happy because this is definitely a lot shorter than usual. But yeah, definitely let us know your feedback. Leave your comments on the YouTube. Remember that we also are on Spotify. All you have to do is type out Powercast, and you should find us. We have a pretty obvious image that you can identify us with. And yeah, we're also at the Koalition.com website. The shows get posted on there. We cover a lot of other shows. We do a lot of interviews and gaming content as well. So definitely check out the Koalition.com. And that's pretty much it for this week. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. and Miss Dana Abercrombie for being here also. And I want to tell everyone, make sure you take care, because this is like the flu season now, and 2020 has been a pretty bad year overall. So take care of yourselves, people. And yeah, 2020 is almost over, so just try and be as optimistic as you can. But yeah, we'll see you all next week. Until then, make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.